Hello and welcome to In a Spiritual Sense, where we discuss all things spiritual. From growing your intuition, speaking with spirit guides, diving into past lives, the paranormal, and more, join me, Stacey Piagno, where we work to bridge the gap between science and spirit. Hello and welcome back to In a Spiritual Sense. I'm your host, Stacey Piagno. I hope you all had a beautiful weekend and start to your week. Today, we have a very important topic to discuss. However, before we get into it all, I do have a few announcements. You may have heard me say recently that dream circles are now open. So for those looking to learn how to connect with your dreams and how to work with your dreams, I am now offering classes. They're all done online, so just reach out for availability. I have also opened back up tarot readings. So if either of these pique your interest, just hop on over to my website, inaspiritualsense.com, and you can contact me and book sessions there. With that, today is a very important day because we are going to discuss how to protect our energy and bring more awareness to ourselves and our environment. We're going to talk about why this is important, how often we should be doing it, and how to do it. And yes, we have talked a lot about some of these concepts throughout different episodes, but I've been thinking a lot about this topic lately. And I thought it would be nice to have all of this information compacted into one video for you guys. And so to start, I want to share a little gift I received the other day. It actually seems far from a gift while it was happening, but this is why I want to share it. Because this story is an example of how we can manipulate energy. This is a story of perspective I want to share and how it has recently played a part in my life. And it very much goes along with today's topic. So, long story short, I was selling something on Facebook Marketplace. It was a big ticket item and I've been waiting to sell it for a long time. And this guy reaches out, he's interested, and he's very persistent. He's actually over messaging me, telling me about how he's been running into trouble buying things from people and how others are not being truthful with him. And he's really trying to make sure that my item is clean and worth buying. And I really felt that he was over messaging me. So the day of the sale, we checked back in with each other. Again, he's like, "Are you sure you'll be there?" I said, "Yes, 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock rolls around, 4:10, 4:20, 4:30, and he is still not at the meeting spot. And I remember he said he was driving from almost an hour away. So at this point, I reach out and I'm like, "Hey, what's your ETA?" No response. It's now half an hour past our meeting time. And mind you, I'm not at home. I'm at a friend of a friend's house where I'm storing this item. And I'm sitting in the car in the driveway. And the item is out in the driveway. And the guy who is staying at the house has to leave. It's a weekday. I left work early. I had to drive almost an hour to get here. Finally, he messages me back and is like, "I will be there at 4:45. Sorry, there's traffic." Immediately, I read his energy and knew he was definitely lying. I also checked the maps just for fun and there was no traffic. And I also drove from that direction and I knew that there was no traffic. So at this point, I knew he hadn't probably left his house until 4, which was the original meeting time. And I was getting very irritated because, first, this is crazy for me to have even waited this long. I had lots of errands to run. I was working on an episode that day that I had a due date for, and I was beginning to lose my window of work and making it to the stores on time. But I thought, well, I really want to get rid of this item, make some cash. It's only 15 more minutes. Anyways, it's now 4:50. And at this point, I know he had also lied about him being 15 more minutes away. And it finally hit me. Stacey, what are you doing? Nobody in their right mind would wait an hour for someone on Facebook Marketplace to show up for something. How disrespectful. I felt taken advantage of because I am very understanding and I am very patient. And now it's just down to the principle of the matter. So I messaged him back and I said how disrespectful it was to have left this late and I knew he was lying, and I had already gotten a weird vibe from this guy anyways. So I told him I left, which was already nice for me to have even mentioned that to him. About 5 minutes after I left, it's now past 5 o'clock, and he says, "Wait, I'm here in the driveway." I was livid, and I was very mad. Anyways, it ended, and he got to drive back an hour with no item. And my mind was racing. He got what he deserved. He wasted my whole afternoon. I can't believe I even thought to have waited this long. How rude and unaware he was. And then when I got home and settled, I thought, okay, this is ruining my evening. What is the purpose of this? And although I was just venting about how he was so unaware of others, I realized I had also been unaware of myself. And I began to see things differently. Because what really happened was I had received a gift today to learn how to protect myself and my energy, to learn how to respect myself and my time, to learn how to give better boundaries, and to learn how to transmute a situation such as this into something pleasant and purposeful, to learn how to transmute a situation that initially brought me anger and guilt into self-dignity. So because of this day, I gained more confidence and more self-awareness, because there was a moment where I was actually going to turn back and finish the sale, but something inside told me no. This is about you gaining more self-respect. And I even felt bad for him. Like I internally felt guilty that I was the one doing him harm. So for me to continue driving home and not finish that sale was something very beneficial for me to go through. And learning how to change the energy of this to something beneficial is the example I want to share with you all. Because this is the kind of stuff or the kind of feelings that we will go through in life. And this is an example of how we are in charge of our energy and how we have the power to manipulate energy. So I thought this experience was very important to share, especially because I think I might speak for us all when I say there seems to be a lot of turbulence in the air these days. I do think our world is heading in a very positive direction. However, sometimes in order to head into a brighter future, we have to go through reconstructive phases. Phases of uncomfortability, discomfort. It's the process of life and death. And it will always be present because it's the natural flow and rhythm of life. But I do see us collectively going through a transition. And I've spoken a little on this in the past, but as we either collectively or personally go through transitions, which again are a part of life, I think something we have to remember to do is connect more often with our energy and be more proactive with our awareness of that energy. I think it's important that we're checking in with ourselves more often and we get to a place where we are more aware of how we're feeling and where any discomfort may be stemming from when and if it arises. Because if we want to be healthy and live out this experience of life in a joyful way, we have to understand that we are responsible for everything we experience. And we are always in charge. But unfortunately, we are not very often taught this concept. And many of us are moving through life unconsciously. And I personally try not to pay too much attention to conflicts in my environment, such as political views, gossip at work, arguments or hatred online, whether in person or with the media. But I do see it in spurts. And what I see is a lot of reacting, a lot of heightened emotions, and a big lack of responsibility for what it is we experience. Because in my opinion, the way we experience life and the way we perceive what is happening around us is a direct reflection of us. It is a direct reflection of the belief systems we have in place. So if there's a situation that we are not in harmony with, which will happen, this is life, We have to learn how to create a more harmonious experience within whatever it is we are perceiving. And we have to have better boundaries of what we are allowing in our space. In return, this will keep us vibrating at a higher frequency, therefore keep our energy flowing and in harmony with what we desire. A really great episode to go back and listen to is one from last season called Drama of the Trauma. I might be referencing a lot of old videos today, but on that episode, I talk a lot about when we go through experiences that are not always pleasant and how it can very easily result in us falling into a victimized state because we had a bad experience, or we're hurting, or we encountered loss or harsh judgment. And really what is happening when we allow these unwanted feelings to consume us or take up too much energy is we begin falling into a state of unconscious living. We become unaware of what we're intaking and outputting. Our boundaries may be unclear, and our perspective of the situation is not aligned to something of our benefit. And this is not to be confused with feeling discomfort or going through pain. Yes, that will happen in life. The point is to not always at every minute be in a state of bliss. Yes, we can strive towards that. And yes, we can create lives of bliss. But there may be times where we feel dis-ease. And that's okay. Another part of protecting our energy is understanding that life has ups and downs. And one of the purposes of being human is that we are supposed to be able to feel, right? I mean, whether we deem the feelings to be good or bad, having the opportunity to feel is a gift. So my point is, having different feelings is good. It keeps us alive. And as I've spoken in the past, we have to have duality to even understand what it is we do prefer. However, we don't want to linger in the disharmony for too long. We should be able to feel it, yes, but we have to learn how to dismiss it. We have to learn how to stay ahead of it and differentiate between what is ours to hold on to and what is for us to release or transmute. Because what can very easily happen when we're not in alignment is we begin to create excuses for why we're not living our best life. Excuses for why we are not succeeding, why we're feeling pain. And we do this unconsciously. And as the law of energetics teaches us, the more we do this, the more of it we will experience. So today I really want to lay out how we can better protect our energy and how we can take more responsibility for our lives and hold ourselves more accountable for creating healthier, happier experiences. So, where to start? I really think it's important for us to have a better relationship with the mind, because what I see and what I have experienced is the relationship you have with your mind will be the relationship you have with life. Many of us treat what we perceive in the mind as our reality, when in fact, it is the mind that should be used as a tool to maneuver through our reality. The mind was created as a tool. It's the lens of how we perceive our existence. However, many of us treat the mind as if it's a guide. We treat our thoughts as the way versus a way. And the trouble with this, however, is that our mind is connected to our reality, yes, but it's not the mind that should be driving our spirit. It's the spirit that should be driving the mind, and therefore using it as a tool, not being used by it. Because if we can learn to use our mind as a tool, then we can learn to redirect situations that are not serving to us. If, however, we are being run by the mind, then when we encounter situations we do not like, we will be victim to what the mind first perceives. And this is a common trap we sometimes fall into. So it's important to check in with our beliefs and mindsets every so often to see if they are serving us. And this takes practice of our awareness. I think far too often there is a stigma that we're not supposed to change. And the belief systems that we picked up as children or young adults are supposed to stay with us forever. And it's moral to hold on to these systems. And honestly, that couldn't be farther from the truth. If life moves fluidly and it's ever changing, then so should we, because we are life. We are supposed to change. We are supposed to grow. If not, we become stagnant, and we will feel the discomfort of that. We will feel our spirit guiding us towards change, and if we don't follow that pull, we will manifest a cage around us that keeps us imprisoned. And far too often, this will result in midlife crises, sicknesses, or poisons that consume us. So, to start, work on building a relationship with your mind. Relationships are funny because we often think of relationships with other people, but everything we encounter, whether person or not, is a form of energetic relationship. And when we awaken to the idea of having relationships with not only people, but with ourselves, with our body, with our environment, life becomes so much more expansive, so much clearer, so much more manipulative in a good way. Because we learn that absolutely everything is connected. And it is our mind that will help us maneuver and give meanings to these connections. If we have an unhealthy relationship with something, it will be due to the way our mind is connected to it. And only once we become aware of this can we alter it. But if we are living unconsciously, we will have no say in what it is we encounter, and we will definitely not be able to change or fix what it is we don't like. So, to better protect your energy, start by giving attention to the relationship you have with your mind and the relationship your mind has with its environment. Some great episodes to help you with this further are, as I mentioned, Season 1's Drama of the Trauma, along with the Rewiring Your Brain episode. Those are two great ones. Also from Season 2 a few weeks back was the Science Behind Belief and the Dharma Karma episode. Even the one titled Is Life Always Working for Us? Those all go very in depth with perspective and changing your reality. And I think they will really give you a good understanding of how to create a healthy mindset and therefore healthy reality. So I will add those episodes in the show notes for easy access. Something else, however, that just came up is when learning how to protect ourselves, protection does not always mean that we have to dismiss something out of our lives. Sometimes it is. We'll talk about boundaries in a minute. And in some cases, you do want to dismiss things. Sometimes it's best to not even entertain something because it will be a complete waste of your energy. That's real. We're going to get into it. But sometimes, for example, when we get hurt, we hold on to beliefs that are both defensive and unhealthy. Like a classic example is when you get your heart broken or your feelings hurt. It's common for us to want to guard ourselves in some ways. The problem with that, however, is that we are leaning into the fear of what might happen again. And we do this all the time. Think of fear itself and what you may be fearful of or uncomfortable with. When we allow fear to enter into our thoughts, what happens is we are now creating a possibility of fear. Think about that. The quantum world is all about possibilities and outcomes. And out of all the outcomes that could possibly be in existence, thinking of a fearful outcome is in itself creating that outcome to be an actual choice, because you're bringing awareness to that and pulling it into your reality as an option. You're allowing that to hold space in your reality. Your fear of that thing is bringing more awareness to that thing, which is charging that thing, which is giving more probability of that thing coming into your existence. I heard a beautiful explanation of this from Daryl Anka, who is a channeler and a public speaker. I've referenced him before on the show, and he channels a being known as Bashar, and he's all over the web. But he was talking about fear, and he says, and this is loosely quoted, quote, "Focusing on fear anchors you to fear. You have to instead replace the idea with what you do prefer and focus solely on that. Therefore, that thing you may be fearful of is not in existence because it holds no space in your reality." Unquote. So instead of focusing on what you don't want to happen, we can replace that charge by focusing on what we do want to happen. We can't allow fear to be a choice, because if we allow it, we will experience it or have a chance of experiencing it. And this again goes back to the relationship with the mind. Fear only exists in the mind. It's not something that's tangible. It's a frequency. And similar to creating a relationship with the mind, I would prompt you to think about what kind of relationship you have with those things you are fearful of. Because when we really think about what we're fearful of, I think we're only fearful because we don't have a relationship with that thing or that outcome. Truly think about this. Fear seems to be existent in the unknown. Or if you have had a painful experience of something, then it would make sense that you might be fearful of that thing happening again. That is a defense mechanism. That's fair. Completely. But this is where you have the ability to transmute that energy of fear into something else. Create a different relationship with those things by giving them different perspectives. And or don't spend your energy manifesting those things. Like Inka says, replace those thoughts with something you want to experience. Because then all the possible outcomes will align with what you do prefer. Because you are charging your future with not only the manifestation of your thoughts, but with your intention as well. This is how we create. This is how we are the alchemists within our experiences and reality. We are constantly charging our experiences with every thought, with every feeling, with every emotion, with every intention, with every perspective. We have to awaken to the understanding that everything in our reality is created by us. We have to take responsibility that what we encounter, no matter where it comes from, is a creation of us by us. And again, this does not mean that we are in control of others' actions or what others may choose to do, but we are in control of what we deem the experience to be, how we let the experience interact with us. This is in our control. And back to murder, rape, and death. I've shared my understandings on these in the past, but it is my opinion that these are here as catalysts to help us learn how to transmute energy, how to be the creators of our experience, how to transmute something that is dark into something that is light by giving it purpose, by finding its purpose. And so, if we do not like something in our reality, it's because it is stemming from something we don't like within the mind. It's something that's conflicting with our beliefs. It's the mirror analogy. What we see in our exterior is a mirror of us, a mirror of our thoughts, a mirror of our emotions. I love talking about this. It's really true when you can connect to it. We all live in our own projection. And this doesn't mean life isn't real, or the person next to you is any more or less real, or that others' experiences are any more or less real than yours. It's just that others are living through situations with their lens, and you are living through yours. And it's our awareness to be conscious in the moment that will be our best defense. Because if we can understand this, and if we can bring awareness to each moment, then we can alter each moment, each event, each situation to fit our wants and needs. So, in addition to working on the mental side of things, it's also important for us to understand boundaries. Boundaries are a way to take preventative action. I mean, a lot of energetic work, a lot of health and wellness comes from preventative action. It comes from the awareness of what can happen if I'm not doing XYZ, and how can I stay on top of it and stay on top of my life? How can I listen to my body and listen to what it's telling me before I get sick, before I have a mental breakdown? How can I make choices that benefit me first so that I can then help others or then agree to the movement of something? We can't be our fullest if we put others in front of us. as a lifestyle. I'm not saying don't help others or don't go out of your way to help others. I'm more so talking about when we constantly put others first. This will deplete you fast. And what happens, because I can speak from experience, is that we start to hold on to resentment because we're now living for others instead of for us, when this experience is for us. This experience of life, it's for us to learn how to become more of ourselves. And our soul knows this. And so when we're not living for us, we subconsciously feel it and it brings us down. Now, yes, again, we should help others and we need to help others. But the other side is also learning how to help ourselves so we can help others. Because if we're not living in our truth, we can't help anyone. And we begin to spiral down, losing ourselves. So, boundaries. Give more time for you. We have to learn how to make more time for ourselves. And something to keep in mind also is that you might just be going through a season of something. I think this is actually really important to talk about. Just like life is filled with ups and downs, days that might be challenging, we also have seasons of ups and downs. And again, that's okay. That's another part of it all. Be okay with having seasons of ups and downs. Again, I keep coming back to the purpose being about feeling. Allow yourself to feel for as long as you need. Just understand you do have control over your life. Maybe you just need more time to practice. Maybe it's all about practice. I think about that a lot. Like when I talk about life's purpose being to experience and to learn how to transmute. It's all about being in situations that allow us to practice using our power. Situations that allow us to practice getting in touch with our feelings and creating a relationship with the mind. So it's all purposeful. Also, in regards to boundaries, we can get into the paranormal side of things too. A common question for my more mystic friends is that you may be fearful of connecting with spirit because it can be or feel spooky, or you're afraid of what you could connect with. Well, we touched on this recently with the Shadows episode, but protection from the paranormal side of life is all about creating energetic boundaries. And they are created through your confidence and your intention. I love when our recent guest, Vanessa Eccles, said, "Walk like a predator." I loved that. Think about it. Ghosts and more grounded spirits, the negative ones, they feed off energy similar to them. They may be stuck or lost. This is no different than people. And it already takes so much energy for them to manifest or do anything anyways. So who do you think these negative spirits or negative entities are going to be more energetically drawn to? Someone with low energy who has no awareness and is a victim of their reality? Or someone who's vibrating on the frequency of love? Someone who finds enjoyment in everything? Someone who is very in tune and confident with who they are? The way to repel something negative is through confidence. Because to me, the opposite of fear is confidence, along with love. But when we can hold space to ground into our own confidence, that is power. And that power is protection. Negative people, negative ghosts, negative energy, it literally exists on a plane of likeness. And so when we are lacking energy, or when we're tired or emotional or doubtful or angry, or I'll be honest, intoxicated too, these states put us in lower vibrations that match like energy. And I'm not saying don't drink and have fun. And I'm not saying you can't ever be in a bad mood. I'm just asking for you to think about your lifestyle as a whole. It's the consistency of these things that we're looking at. What kind of energy do you experience on the day-to-day? Are you constantly stressed, constantly sick, constantly worried? Do you constantly have a short fuse? These frequencies are easily accessible by energies that take from us, things that feed from our energy. And we're usually in these states when we're unaware. We're not doing anything to cleanse ourselves. I mean, we all take showers to clean our body. We all brush our teeth so we don't get cavities. Why don't we do things to clean or reset our energy? It's just as important, if not more, because energy is the seed of manifesting into the physical. Also, too, if you find yourself fearful of something on the paranormal side, remember that mirror analogy. When we're fearful of something outside of ourselves, remember that there is a level or space or time where we are all one. This has helped me because if I can take the fear of something exterior and remind myself that it's an aspect of me, it suddenly doesn't seem so fearful. I'm a lot less scared of me than something that I feel is exterior to me. It's a psych thing, but it holds a lot of weight too, because this perspective that what we experience is a reflection of us gives understanding to the things or people who are on the darker side of life. The way to disintegrate something negative is to give it understanding, because then it is no longer projected as something negative. If you don't deem something to be negative, then it's not negative. And we do this through understanding. So, lastly, in addition to perspective and creating a relationship with your mind, creating better boundaries and confidence, and understanding the darkness as your mirror, I want to leave you with a form of action that you can take to better start and end your day. It's one thing to learn about something. It's another to take action. And so if we want to see change, we have to take action. And whether action means taking time off and going into modes of stillness, or picking up the pace to create more movement, I want to bring some exercises and ideas into your awareness that can help you protect your energy. Some of these will be techniques or tricks that are quick. You can pull them out of your toolbox at any time, and some will be more drawn out. You can think of them as meditations, and they will be more preventative because, as we've discussed, the frequency that you are vibrating at will be the type of energy that is available for exchange. So if you are vibrating at a very low, dense frequency, the goal will be to add something into your daily routine that can allow you to work on raising your vibration long term. Because when we can learn to live on a plane of energy that is similar to what we want to pull in, feeling protected is much easier because it becomes a part of our energy. Likewise, if we're living on a plane of energy that is draining or negative, you may feel constantly drained. And that is going to make it even more difficult to protect your energy. So, to start, the best form of action you can take to protect yourself is preventative action, keeping your energy well maintained. I have 2 quick meditations that I am going to share. One of these I shared recently on the grounding episode. That's another really good one to go back and listen to if you want to hear more about energetic hygiene. And I do share this exact meditation in that episode, so sorry I'm going to share it again. But I want you to close your eyes, not if you're driving, save this for later, but take a moment to sit and visualize yourself in the middle of a football field. I heard this on another podcast, and I think the reason why they chose a football field is because it's very chaotic. It's like a battlefield, if you will. But you can visualize yourself anywhere. A beach also works really well for this. And you're going to start breathing in and out. If you like the beach visualization, you can pair your breaths to the waves coming in and out. But next, you are going to imagine yourself standing in front of everyone that you have interacted with that day. And it's okay if you can't physically remember everyone you crossed paths with, but symbolically, call in anyone who has crossed your path, either physically or mentally. As you breathe in, you are going to call back any and all energy that belongs to you. And as you breathe out, you will return any energy that is not for you to hold. And you will do this as long as you feel the need. You can end there, or I also like to call in my guides for helping clear any other energy that is not meant for me to carry at this moment in time. And so I will ask them to help me release any excess energy back into the atmosphere as love. Because one thing to also note is that if we are releasing or returning energy that is unwanted, it has to go somewhere. So I always ask or work to transmute that extra energy into a loving vibration, and I send it up into the atmosphere. To me, it just makes sense that we are sending it far away or we're transmuting it because we don't want it to linger around our space for us to pick back up. I also talk a lot about this on the Energetically Speaking episode. So you can try this. Another one that is similar is to sit and ground your energy, which is just to bring awareness to yourself. Feel your body. Feel your chakras. Go through each one if you like. If you can't feel anything yet when doing this, that's also okay. Just noticing each area and bringing awareness to it is how you start. And with more practice, you'll begin to feel it more. So I'll do this, and then I like to pretend I am pulling strings out of my body. I usually pull from the top of my shoulders or my head, and then I go and pull under my butt and thighs. If you feel a particular area of your body that is hurting or that feels stressed or clumped up, pull from there. But I really slowly and intentionally grab and squeeze my fists, and I pull. And I really focus on the pulling. It also might help to imagine gum stuck on your body and you're pulling it out slowly, and imagine the feeling of it popping off. Honestly, anything that you can imagine or visualize is going to help enhance this practice, and it's going to be powerful for cleaning. And we can use our imagination to help us with this. Imagination is another tool that we have access to. However, many dismiss it as something childish. That's incorrect. Our imagination is very intertwined into our spiritual work, and especially our spiritual healing. So work to pull out anything that is not serving to you. I do this often, and I feel extremely light afterwards. You can also shower, swim, sage your energy. Go listen to the grounding episode. There's lots of ways to exchange negative ions, which are what help us heal and create better immunity to sicknesses and dense energies. So try these. Some other quick things you can do are to visualize bubbles of light around you. This is probably one of the most common strategies. You can introduce colors to help create boundaries, or you can just use a white translucent light. I always do this as I get done with my little morning meditation, and it helps me to feel protected throughout the day. I first practice in my mind's eye, seeing me inside of a bubble. So I pretend to see myself in more of an aerial view or through the eyes of someone else, and I see the bubble around me as if I'm looking at myself. Then I switch back to seeing through my own lens. So I will look at my environment and pretend like that white bubble is almost blocking my vision, but I can still see through it. And this creates that boundary that connects both the inner and outer world. And this is something that you can do in the moment if you're feeling stressed or scared or emotional. Or again, you can do it as a preventative measure. Crystals and smoke are also good because they exchange energy with you. Most of the black crystals are really good for protection. Black tourmaline, obsidian, onyx, hematite. Try keeping one of these in your pocket or wearing it as a pendant. Not only is the crystal itself going to radiate protection through its frequency, but keeping it near is also a reminder that you are protected. And when we can continuously output repetitive thoughts such as this, it is both a way to protect yourself and help retrain your mind that you are protected. So these are super simple. There's an infinite amount of meditations and energetic things that you could do to protect your energy, or you can even make up your own ways. I actually highly recommend that. Again, use your imagination. You've been given it for a reason, and it's connected to you and what you need and your wants and your needs. Connect with what comes up for you. Come up with your own routine and trust that it's working. And also work to stay in a space of gratitude. Gratitude itself is a form of protection. And it's because of the frequency we give off when we're feeling grateful. That's why when we're doing shadow work or healing work, finding things we are grateful for or finding the gratitude within the pain transforms that pain into purpose. It gives meaning. And so when we work to stay in a state of gratitude for our lives or our situations, we are untouchable from lower level frequencies. Gratitude and love compared to fear, worry, and doubt, and some of these lower level vibrations are like oil and water. They don't and can't mix. I never really understood this until I started doing it. Gratitude. I always heard people talk about it and I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, boring. But then I started doing it, living in a grateful mindset, and my world changed. And I was already a really positive person. But when I started to become grateful for everything, including breathing, my world went from happy to joy. Like, I am now living in a different space than before. It's beautiful. I know for me, in this moment in time, my vibration is my protection. I heard a man named Oliver Nino say that, and it is spot on. I really don't often have to think about my protection because I am protection. I myself am protected by my energy. And this, I feel, is the answer to protection and how to protect your energy. And so another thing you can work to do is to produce more moments of gratefulness. When you wake up, connect with your body, connect with your environment, your guides, your God, whoever, and thank all these energies. Give thanks to the breath of life we have been given and the opportunity to live, the opportunity to experience. Do this every day and you will start to feel your energy shift. This is a long-term thing. When we live in gratitude for our lives, we literally change our frequency. And that's the goal. For me, to be able to live on a higher frequency, to live in happiness and health, to live with purpose. I was mentioning listening to Oliver Nino on another podcast recently, and he is a spiritual activationist. He basically teaches people how to work with energy. And when he was discussing protection, he says, quote, "In the early stages, protection is an active thing. In the later stages, it becomes more of an automatic thing because you're not thinking about it as much. The ultimate goal is that your vibration becomes your protection." Unquote. I mean, just think of examples from your own life. When you're feeling really good and living on that high vibration, nothing can throw you off. Sometimes things will happen, but you're radiating so high, things don't affect you in a negative way. Now, think about a time when you were maybe struggling. You were in a lower vibration, and it seems like everything continues to go wrong. You're constantly lacking energy. This is how it works. So back to the boundary thing. Do more things that keep you in a high vibration. And think about who's in your circle. They say something like the 5 closest people to you is the type of energy that you will experience. Something like this. So it's important to be mindful about who we are surrounding ourselves with or what we are surrounding ourselves with. What kind of environments do we interact with? Does this mean we should strive to stay away from big crowds, busy places, and stay enclosed in our home? No, absolutely not. You can't hide from energy. It will come around in other forms, and it will peek through in other ways. Just be aware of what you're surrounding yourself with, and be aware of consistency, and learn your threshold for the amount of energy that you can be around. Find that line. This is why exposure to energy is good. We have to practice. We have to sense and feel it and work with it. And when I say work with it, I just mean be aware of it. It's kind of impossible to not work with energy because it is everything. And we're already working with it every single second, whether we know it or not. The key is bringing awareness to the fact that we actually are working with it. Bring awareness to your observations and feelings and thoughts and senses. That's the piece that's missing for most of us. We don't have to learn how to do anything new. We're already doing it. We're already manifesting. We're already exchanging energy. We're already affecting others and being affected. It's our awareness and observation, however, that allow us to be able to manipulate it. manipulate the energy, or in case of today's episode, protect ourselves with it. So, that in a nutshell is how to protect your energy. It's a lot, and it takes a lot of practice and a lot of awareness, but it is something I believe that is crucial to our health and crucial to our happiness, and it is in our control. If you enjoyed today's episode, I hope you use it to inspire those around you, and I'll see you next time on In a Spiritual Sense. For those looking to connect further, please feel free to send emails to info@inaspiritualsense.com or hit me up on Instagram, where you can find weekly inspiration and updates. I look forward to connecting with you.